Today we are on the Cleghorn Fire Road, 2N47, and we're going to give you a full review of this road, the Fire Road only. That means we're not taking any of the offshoots. We're going to show you all of the rough and bumpy spots so that you know what you can expect if you do this trail. We did a video a while back of all of the difficult offshoots from the Fire Road. If you want to watch that video, we'll have a link to it at the end in the up next section. You'll see that video pop up. That's the difficult sections of Cleghorn. That is a much longer video. We're going to be making a GPS track file that you can download for free from our website, notarubicon.com. You can download that for free. You do not need to give us your email address. You do not need to sign up. You do not need to do anything other than go to the website and click the download the GPX file button. Cleghorn Fire Road is about 12.5 miles long, and it is definitely four-wheel drive only. Now, you may have seen my previous videos saying that some two-wheel drive vehicles might make it, but those are older videos. You might have seen other videos also on YouTube saying the Fire Road is easy. As of June 2020, the Fire Road is, as far as four-wheel drive trails go, it is still easy, but it is definitely four-wheel drive only. There are a lot of very deep, substantial ruts that you'll have to make it through. The experience level needed for this road normally after it's graded is very low. However, there are some very washed out parts, some very narrow sections that have drop-offs down the side. I would say for a brand new road off-roader, this may not be the road for you, because as of 2020, it is so washed out and so deteriorated from what it normally is. So it is still a fire road. It's still not a super difficult road. Most Jeepers with any off-road experience would have no trouble at all. But for a new off-roader, I would say you're going to want a little experience before you come up here, and definitely do not come alone. Now, any day now, sometime between 2020 and 2025, the Forestry Service will come through and grade it. They tend to do that every few years. Once that happens, Cleghorn Fire Road will once again be a freeway. But for now, until that happens, the easy Cleghorn Fire Road is not all that easy. The road is fairly wide most of the way, so two-way traffic is not a problem in most sections. This is an extremely popular and well-trafficked fire road. This trail is close to home for us, and this is literally where I learned to four-wheel drive and use my Jeep. And I do not believe I've ever been up here on a day, any day of the week, when we did not see several other vehicles. You do not need to air down for this trail, although we do, just to smooth out the road. There are a few forks in the road where you could make wrong turns. Some of those wrong turns would take you up into some of the difficult offshoots, and some of those there is no backing out of. So you definitely do not want to take a wrong turn on this trail. We're going to point those out as we go past them. Throughout this entire video, the location of where we are at any given moment will show in the lower left of the screen. You can type those coordinates into Google Maps and it will show you exactly where we are at that time. First couple miles are kind of shelfy, like what we're on now. Straight drops down below, right off the side. But it is wide enough so that should not be an issue as long as you're driving normally and safely. Because Cleghorn is freeway close, pretty much the entire way, there is cell phone service throughout most of the trail. Depending on who your provider is, you might even have service the entire way. This is a popular trail. We've already got vehicles behind us and we're coming up on vehicles in front of us coming down. Looks like they're getting out of our way. We're just now passing what's called Edison Hill, which is one of the favorite offshoots, little play areas. But that little spot is not legal for driving your vehicle. And if the ranger sees you there, he will give you a ticket. That particular little spot, which is where some of the electrical towers are. It's private property. It is fenced off. They put new fencing there every year or so, and a day or two later, the fencing is mysteriously gone. So just because you can go there doesn't mean you should. They don't want you there. All right, we're getting up in elevation now. Got a great view off to the left of Cajon Pass. The road's getting a little bit rutted here. You can straddle the rut or just go around it. Most vehicles get around it. It's not real bad. Most vehicles make it through no problem. But the higher up we go, the more the road deteriorates. And when we get to the really tough spots, we'll get out and show you those. We'll have Mrs. Nadarupakon drive over them in her Jeep just so you can get an idea of how they look from the outside. Okay, here's another pretty rutted spot. Any Jeep could easily make it up this. Stock, most trucks will make it up no problem. Might have to slow down. I'm going up the harder side, just right over the rough stuff, but you could just squeeze by on the left if you needed to. We're coming up on the first fork in the road where you have to make a decision on which way to go. The Cleghorn Fire Road is to the right or straight. If you turn left, that is 3N22, and that goes over to the Summit staging area about a mile or so to the west. That's also a flat, easy road. Some people start Cleghorn coming in that way. There are bathrooms at that Summit staging area, so if you need a restroom, you can cut over there. The fork in the road is pretty well marked. Just stay to the right, and you'll stay on Cleghorn. This is a rutted, bumpy spot and kind of steep. So this is the first little challenge for a new off-roader. This section is quite rutted, and I can't quite see if there's a way to get around it all or if you have to go through it. So we'll give you some video of Mrs. Nadarupakon going through it. Whew. Yeah, it's pretty rutted. This spot is actually substantially more rutted than the last time we were here. It's a very rutted spot. You can squeeze by on the left, but as you can see, it's definitely going to slow you down. And then smooths right back out again, smooth sailing until the next rough spot. That's a little play hill on the left. That is legal to go up and down. It's just up and straight over, but as you go up and come down, it's completely blind, so you can't see where you're going. Even though it's not big, it can be intimidating. All right, another rutted spot. This one you could squeeze by on the left or the right. If you go by on the right, you're going to be hanging off the edge. Go by on the left, your passenger tires are going to drop into the rut a little bit. Yeah, that was a deep hole. Another pretty rutted spot. We're about 45 minutes in, and as you've seen, we've gone through several substantially rutted spots. It is still a fire road, but definitely four-wheel drive only until they grade it again. All right, coming up on one of the first offshoots. We're going around that offshoot, going straight. You'll see where the fire road stays straight and the offshoot goes up that steep hill on the left. We're going to stay on the fire road, but even that's bumpy and rutted. Another very rutted spot. going to need some clearance in this spot. And it's a little bit of a steep uphill. And more traffic. This is what happens when you're not paying close enough attention on the fire road. He wasn't paying attention coming over a little hill, and he nearly went off the edge. Luckily, he had somebody with him to yank him backwards a few feet, and they're good now. So the further up we go, you're going to start seeing more and more of the offshoots, and those are what get up into the real difficult areas. But it's usually pretty obvious which side is the fire road and which side is not the fire road and is an offshoot. Another narrow spot where it's washed out. Now we're on a steep, rutted, uphill turn, which straight ahead goes up another offshoot, but we're going to stay to the right. It'll be real obvious. Flat road further to the right. Coming up on another little split in the road. The road goes off to the right, and you can see the obvious offshoot where it's rutted and tougher on the left. Right after that, another offshoot goes off to the right, and the road is marked to stay on the fire road straight ahead. That offshoot on the right, although it may look easy, we have seen more flops there than anywhere else on this entire trail. So when you look at it, you'll see why. Well, we're staying on the fire road today, following the sign, straight ahead. And we're coming up on another split in the road. We've got a offshoot straight ahead, and the road, which is getting more and more difficult on the right. These guys are taking the offshoot. You can see the guy up there is having trouble in the offshoot. Those offshoots are not easy. And he made it. We're not going that way. We're staying on the fire road, which gets a little rough here. Looks really bad and intimidating from far away as you come around that curve. But once you get on it, it's really not bad. It's nice and wide. There's a couple of little ruts in it, but nothing like what you had to go through to get this far. And once you're on it, it's not as steep as it looks from far away. Another optional offshoot, kind of straight ahead to the left, and we're staying where the fire road is, which is pretty obvious, to the right. As we round this curve, the fire road is going to stay on to the left. If you go straight, that's going to take you up to the chute, and that's one of the harder spots of this entire trail. So if you get up there accidentally, there's a big wide spot with plenty of room to turn around. You can look at the chute. If you've seen videos or pictures of Cleghorn, that's where you see the rock with the skull and crossbones on it. It's a very intimidating obstacle. You can walk up to it, look down it, walk down a little ways if you want. As you come around the curve, the exit to the chute will be on your right, and then the road splits. And technically the fire road is here on the right where we are, but if you were to stay up on the left, it wouldn't matter. It's about 100 yards long, and they meet right up. What does matter is at this next fork in the road, and this is critically important, because if you make the wrong turn here and you're not expecting it, you're going to have a really bad day. Straight ahead is what we call the punch bowl, and you'll know it when you see it. It's obvious what it is. If you go to the right of the punch bowl, that goes down into a long section of very difficult, very steep, very rutted offshoot. So if you want to stay on the fire road, you're going to have to stay to the left. Write this one down. Stay left at the punch bowl if you do not plan on going down the difficult sections. And as we're now coming down the backside of Cleghorn Ridge is when you start seeing the views of the lake come into view. And we're intersecting with one of the difficult offshoots that's coming in from my right and continuing down to the left. And always watch for traffic. So we're staying here on the straight ahead, which is the fire road, which has got some little baby ruts and a little bit of off-camberness. All right, coming down with another optional offshoot straight ahead. And then we're veering right on the fire road. And this road used to be nice and wide, and it's barely wide enough for my Jeep to stay out of that rut. Coming up on another pretty rutted spot. Kind of a drop off on the right. I'm gonna kind of go down the middle of it. Gets a little off camber. Ooh, gets very off camber. This is not a Rubicon, didn't like that line.
Yeah, that did not look good at all.
Alright, so there's two more.
I don't know, that's scary on that one dip right there. But then you go all the way to the lake.
Two more off camber, really rutted spots. It brings you up and levels you out consider. Wow. All right. So, really rutted. Low right-hand turn. Definitely want to go through that section slowly. And we're now coming up on one of the big open areas, probably the only big open area on the whole trail. Huge area, great place to bring a group and stop for lunch. The Pacific Crest Trail passes right here, right where that Toyota is. Those Toyotas are up on the right, cuts right across here. And as we leave the big wide parking area, the road splits again, and you can see the easy fire road to the left and some harder offshoots up to the right. Road splitting again, fire road on the left. See that guy taking the harder offshoot alone on the right. If you ever decide to try some of the harder offshoots, the best way to do it is with a group, a large group, or a group of trusted friends that know what they're doing. Going up there alone, you and your neighbor who don't really know how to off-road, may not always end well. Here on this trail, at least, on these hard offshoots, because they can get pretty technical. But if you go with a group that is familiar with this trail, you'll have a lot of people there to help you and support you, and hopefully, if it's a good group, tell you what to do and what not to do. If you go to notarubicon.com, if you live in the area, we lead groups up this trail all the time. We've led groups up to 65 Jeeps on this trail, which, just for the record, was a mistake. Now we try to keep it down to 15 or 20 Jeeps at a time. We have done this trail probably 75 times. Again, this is where I learned to off-road, and we love helping the beginners come and learn how to do these tougher offshoots. It should now be fairly obvious where the offshoots are and where the fire road is. I'm not pointing every single one out now. Basically, if it's uphill and rutted, that's an offshoot. If it's mostly flat and not as rutted, that's the fire road. It really is mostly obvious. So there's several more offshoots that I'm not gonna point out every single one because they are pretty obvious. We're coming up now on another one of those spots where if you make the wrong turn, it could be a bad day. We're at a fork in the road. There's a marker straight ahead. It's just brown. It doesn't say anything. The fire road goes to the left. If you go to the right, and it almost looks like the fire road, and it goes up to an area called Hell's Highway, and that section is 1 or 2 miles long. And depending on where you go, once you get in there, it's another one of those sections where you cannot back out. It is impossible to back out of some of those sections, and it would be a really bad day for you if you're not expecting that. And that's it. That was the entire Cleghorn Fire Road. I want to thank you for watching. If you watched it this far, or if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. If you have questions about this trail, the fire road, or the difficult offshoots, leave a comment below. We know this trail pretty well. We'll try to answer it the best we can, and we will see you on the trail.